This is Festival Sounds. I'm Tilly.
I'm Bilal.
And today we have the lovely Jessi back.
Hello, me again.
We love having you, so welcome.
Oh, I love coming. Obviously we can't pull our finger out and get any more episodes out of GlastoCast at the moment because of clashes with diaries. But it's so lovely to come and chat to you guys anytime.
We're bringing the GlastoCast to you this time.
Yeah, amazing. I'm here for it. Let's do it.
What should we chat about?
Well, I believe I'm here to talk about camping, which is something I love to do, and I haven't spoken about in a very long time. So let's get into it, I guess.
Yeah, let's pick out the best campsites at Glastonbury.
Yeah.
So, having only ever done Glastonbury through Oxfam, I've never actually camped anywhere. I've never had to camp anywhere that's not the Oxfam field. So, as a newbie, where would you recommend I camp?
Ooh, right. I'll go first then. I am such a huge advocate of big ground. It is by the pyramid field, so I do get called basic quite a lot when I say that. But actually, what's great about it is, yes, the view is amazing in the mornings. You can see the tour, you know, up over the pyramid stage. It's beautiful. It's quite a big campsite. There's quite a lot of good amenities around it. But so I am a late night partier, that's for sure. You will find me in the southeast corner till the well early hours. However, when I come home and go to bed, when I come back to my tent, I want to sleep. I don't really want there to be like a doof, 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 like very nearby. And that is the good thing about that, is because in big ground, you're kind of penned in by the kids' field, which obviously is pretty quiet in the early hours. The pyramid would have finished at midnight or before. Your West Holts would have finished. So the southeast corner and, you know, your Arcadias and the places that are going to be running late night are quite far away. So when you get back to the campsite, it's nice and quiet, and you can go straight to sleep. So that's why I'm such a big advocate for it, not just because of its proximity to the pyramid and the fact that you can sit outside your tent and watch the first acts of the day from your campsite, which is definitely a bonus.
Or from a full-on sofa that I have seen people drag into big ground.
Oh yeah, I've seen inflatable sofas, slightly more sensible, but then I've seen the actual full. I don't even want to know how many kilos sofas that people set up there. But I was going to say that it gets so busy there very quickly for obvious reasons. So if you want to do big ground, it is one of those things you kind of need to plan ahead. You need to, be in the overnight queue, or at least, be getting to the gate well before 8 a.m. when they open. Particularly if you're going to be setting up like 3 or 4 tents or more. If there's just one tent and 2 of you, you probably could sneak in there a little bit later in the morning on Wednesday. You'll probably still find space for a single tent up until about midday, I would say, or maybe a little bit later if you've got a really small tent and you're really happy to like be on the edge and things like that. But it's very popular, but it is popular for a reason. I really enjoyed camping there, and it was worth the pre-organisation and the overnight queue situation for me and my group for many years.
The beauty of big ground is also the problem that it presents, which is it's the first campsite you see when you get through Gate B. Mm-hmm. And you go down that little rocky path, you cut through a hedge, and this beautiful festival opens up. You can see the pyramid in the distance, you can see all the little tents, you can see the Glastonbury sign up on the hill. But if you've brought all your gear through, the temptation just to drop all your stuff right there and camp is pretty strong. What time do you think you need to get there if you've got a big group, if you've come through Gate B?
I would honestly say you'd need to be in the queue by like 6 a.m. It obviously depends. Every year it changes. And, me and my crew did many years of changing things up. Like we would go down to Gate C, even if it was further from our car than Gate B, like where we came in the cars in convoy. So everyone who was camping together, we'd all met up at like 4 a.m. at a service station and then driven in convoy. So we were all parking together. Even if we were much closer physically to Gate B, some years we walked to Gate C because in our heads we were like, there'll be less people in the queue when we get there. Sometimes that mentality worked, sometimes it didn't. So it's really hard to predict, but you've got to remember that I was trying to set up a camp of approximately 20 tents and more people than that. So, and not all of them were there. So most of it, per person that was setting up, we probably had 2 or 3 tents each. And so it required a lot of collecting tents from those that were coming by, coach, helping your friends out, pre-organisation, doing that convoy. And then, every year we were able to basically walk in and essentially choose where we wanted on the hill, kind of in a bit of a run. We were almost like half running, even though we'd been up all night, just to try and get our nice kind of spot. I think if you're in and wristbanded by like 9:30 and you are coming in gate B or C and you've got, say, between 4 and 6 tents, you should still be fine to get into big ground.
So would your recommendation for people going on the coach be to probably find a friend you can give your tent to if you want to join a big group?
I mean, that was the truth. This is what I used to say to my friends. I used to be like, guys, people pay £250 plus to arrive to a pre-erected tent, and I am doing this for you for free and in a much more desirable campsite than Worthy View up the hill. Do you know what I mean? Like, I reckon
this could
charging.
be a lucrative business. People paying, you'd be like, give me all your tents, I'll pre-erect them for you.
Honestly, we used to talk about this in the queue. I'd be like, right, I need to start charging £100 a tent, which, I would pay to not have to go overnight and have a tent ready for me.
I probably would as well.
If someone's pitched your tent for you, then you shouldn't be buying a beer that day.
Yeah, but bare minimum. I'm not slagging off my friends. I did get a couple of free drinks, but I think the number of free drinks to the number of effort I put, the amount of effort I put in.
Tent to drink ratio is going to need to go up.
Yeah. Needless to say, I don't really do that so much anymore. Definitely not to the same scale. But yeah, I think if you're arriving by coach, ideally, if you want to be with your friends and your coach is arriving much later than your friends, if your friends are coming by car and are super nice, then ask them to take your tent, because that will take away the stress of you turning up a few hours later, wherever you're camping, and being like, God, am I going to be able to fit my tent in the space that's available to me? Your friends aren't going to have to wait at the tent for you to arrive, to show you where it is. It's easier if, maybe not to the scale of mine, but if you're a group of kind of 4 to 6 tents and 2 tents are coming by coach, butter them up, chat very nicely, offer them some beers, presents, whatever it might be. Just say, look, if you can save me the hassle of putting just the shell of the tent up for me, I'll carry everything else in. Then it means we can all be together. I would highly advise doing that.
I do have to say, like, having stewarded Glasgow a couple of times, when you see people rocking up at like 5 p.m. on the Wednesday and they've got like an 8-man tent and there's only 2 of them, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, where are you going to find space for that?
Yeah. I've been, the like campsite sort of hubs that they have, and they have like the campsite crew, and they're in the yellow t-shirts, and on the Wednesday and Thursday you just see people walking up to them with all their gear, and then they go up and go, oh, where can I camp? I've walked past or been asking them another question when people have come up in a similar situation with an 8-man tent and being like, where can I do this? We're trying to get to Pennard's Hill, and then you can just see the person going, I'm really sorry, mate, but it's like Thursday.
It's going to be a no.
It's not going to happen.
100%.
You've got to have the right size tent, and you've got to be brave to have an 8-man tent and have somewhere you're aiming for, because it's probably not going to unlikely to end up in that spot.
Those hubs, they put percentage filled on the maps, so they're really useful. And you've got no chance with past 10 o'clock. You've got no chance with a tent like that at Pennard's. I've seen people run down the railway line to get to Pennard's with all their gear. And if you're that time and you want to be that end, I think you've got to go somewhere like Dairy Ground, Park Home Ground. My mates love Park Home Ground, and that's a good alternative to Pennard's. I think it's a lot more level as well, less shuffling in the middle of the night compared to others. Just going back to if you come through Gate B, or if you come in through the coach, I like Michael's Mead. It's a bit slopey, but you get the same kind of distance away from the noise. You're close to Woodsies, and you can see a bit of the act on the pyramid stage as well. And it's a little bit quieter than Big Ground because you're sideways on, not pointing straight at it.
you're not fussed about the noise. You have some good quality earplugs. You're ready for it to be awake at all hours. Where is like the party, the party area? Where is it noisy all the time?
Well, I mean, we just mentioned it really. I mean, Pennard's has always been known since I've been going as like party central, because it used to be, before the one-way system went in, it was like next door access to Naughty Corner. And this is obviously back in the time where, Silver Haze hadn't got to quite the level that it is now. And so it was anyone who wanted a late night dance, you must be in Pennard's Hill. It was known as like Teenager Central, basically. And I will say Pennard's is a place that, if you've ever seen the photos of like 2007 Glastonbury, is it? With the tents that are basically up to their little hats in water. That was at the bottom of Pennard's Hill. They have put a drainage system in since then, so that will never happen again unless it blocks. Well, I mean, anyway, it won't happen again. I trust the drainage system. But it is still, as Bilal mentioned, it is on quite a hill. There are like some patches of flat, but they're obviously the places that are going to fill up first when people first get there. So yeah, that's just something to bear in mind. And you can definitely exit the southeast corner quickly and get to bed, like along the railway track, straight first left turn past the kind of cross on Nerf and all those, like the green fields. First actual camping field to the left, if you're walking down, is Pennard's Hill. So it is quick to bed after a night out, but you can't nip in and out during the night anymore. It's not like you can run back to your campsite, grab a jumper and go back in or something. You then would have to go around the long, the one-way route. So it is still party corner, I would say. But then also you mentioned Park Homeground, like lots of places up there I've noticed fill up a lot more because of Arcadia and things like that. So what do you want to say about Park Homeground? Because I've not camped there.
So I love how it's so close to Arcadia, so close to the other stage, and you're practically on the old railway line. So yeah, and that's like a highway through the site, isn't it, to the southeast corner. You can veer off to Greenpeace or Westholtz. It's a brilliant spot. I think it comes down to what you really want. If you want somewhere that's flat, then yeah, you've got to go somewhere like Park Home, Dairy. I think you're going to mention Oxley's, aren't you? If you want somewhere where you can have an early night, even on the first couple of nights, then you've got to go further away to the almost towards the fence, really. You've got to get right out there. But if you want to be close to the action, the ones that jump out are Pennard's, Park Home, Oxley's, because am I saying it right? Oxley's?
Yeah, Oxley's, that's what I say anyway. So I camped there in 2010, I'm pretty sure it was. And that was one of the hottest Glastos. I remember it being like sun the entire weekend. The ground was baked and it was dusty everywhere. Like there was not a single sign of mud, but it was dusty. And it was brilliant because, similar to Big Round, but obviously much closer, you could wake up, look out your tent and, watch the first act on the other stage. There was lots of food vans right there. There was quite a lot of toilets around, and it just felt like the most middle campsite. But we were saying when we were there, it is flat, but it is flat. And if Glastonbury is in a valley, like a very slight valley, let's say, Oxford's is in the bottom of that valley. So the second it gets wet, I've seen it when it's been muddy, and it like muddy on the pathways, muddy round the tents, and in between it does become a bit of a wet bath.
You've given me flashbacks of when I've shown up for the first time at a campsite, and you almost are drawing lines in your head and measuring distances from the coffee place, the nearest coffee place. You've got to be close-ish to that, but you've got to be fairly far away from the metal tracks because those bin vans come through. They're so loud in the morning. You want to be close-ish to the loos, but not close to slamming doors because they are loud all night. And you end up, if you get in the campsite early enough, you're kind of, your eyes are darting in all these different directions to kind of find the balance between that. What's most important to you?
Well, I mean, I think you've basically said it. I think the first thing for me is toilets. Like, are they within 100-meter dash, I would say? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you wake up in the night, you're like, God, I need a wee, and I'm just going to have to go. You want it to be close enough and sort of easy enough that it's not, oh my God, I've got to climb through the middle of the campsite, through the guy ropes. If there's like an easy-ish 3 or 4 tents to the edge, to the road, and then you can go around to the toilets. Perfect. Because that's the other thing. When you first set up your campsite, if you are earlier enough, you might be like, oh, this is brilliant. I'm like 40 meters direct line, but you sort of don't really realize how many tents are going to be between you and that destination.
You come back to your tent and you're like, where? There's a sea of new tents.
And the peril of guy lines at 2
right.
a.m.
The peril of people who don't know how to do guy lines, and they do them at their most extended, and you're like, this is not what they're supposed to do, guys.
It's not ever a south call, right?
Yeah.
You're not holding your tent down from a gale. It'll be all right without guy lines. Festival tents shouldn't come with guy lines. They don't need them.
I don't know. I've been to a couple of ropey festivals where you've needed a few. They don't need 8 on a tent, but you need like 2 at the front and maybe 1 at the back.
The like covers, and you don't need them fully extended.
Yeah.
Like,
people who have them on the
tripping hazard.
Yeah.
That's a bit excessive.
Can I be semi-festival dickhead here? I know we're not doing that segment, but I do like to extend my guy lines with a mate who's got their tent the next one over, and between us we managed to save space for a tent doing that. We don't have time for dickhead, but let's just say I'm a dickhead for doing it, but it does work.
No, I mean, it's all fine saving a space for one of your mates that's arriving a couple of hours later. Like, it's not cool to try and save 8 tent space and be really arsey about it. Like, if you've got one mate arriving later, everyone will understand.
What about a circle of chairs, Jessie?
Circle of chairs. So me and my mates always try and do like tents in kind of like jaunty angles, I would say, or like, geometric kind of. So there is space for everyone to put their tent, their chair, like in the porch of their tent, and sort of be able to communicate with others. But it's not a perfect circle. It's not like a, AA meeting of circles. It's not like, oh, let's all sit around with our tent arms.
No one's singing Kumbaya.
No, exactly. We're not all getting a guitar out. We're not having our chair arms touching in a circle. Do you know what I mean? It's more like, have we each got a space to sit out, and can we kind of then make it so that we can sit around in the morning and chat.
It's like aiming to get your tent door facing somebody else's tent door, so you can poke your little head out in the morning.
And there's a little bit of space between for like, if you want to, I don't know, lay down in between or whatever, but it's not, here's a football field, kind of a space in the middle. I was going to say, like, your point, Bilal, like just people who tie the guy ropes together in a circle as well. Mate, come on, like people are going to walk through. You're going to have to deal with that. Like, don't be knobs about it.
You are fast track to dickhead.
Literally,
I'm sorry, we're not doing the segment, but fast track dickhead.
Yeah.
We've been at festival, haven't we, Bill? It wasn't Glastonbury, but where somebody had extended all of their guy lines to the point where the actual stewards had to go and undo their guy lines because it was like, you're taking up too much space and a tent is going to need to go here.
Quite rightly. That's what the stewards should be doing, to be honest. It's the worst is when the guy lines are the non-glow in the dark ones, and you're like, mate, you're literally trying to clothesline me at this point.
Death trap.
It's a bad experience for you in your tent, because all you're going to hear is that twanging and the pull of your tent through the night.
Like people falling over.
So don't bring it on yourself.
Yeah, you are going to have someone trip over your guy line and fall on you when you are asleep, and that will break your tent. So
I do feel for the people though who probably pitch their tent in like what they vision as the perfect spot, and then it just becomes the communal walkway. Like, that's got to be rough, isn't it?
But 100,000 people arrive over the course of that day and a half. They've got to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And there are little things you can do about it. Yeah, they're not doing anything wrong.
True.
There are little things you can do about it. Like, you can tweak your tent a little bit so that they go round, the main path becomes slightly to the left and things. Like, we've had to do that when people have been walking literally straight through the middle. Again, what is the middle? Who knows? Like, no one's going to know if it's the middle. But we have, we don't peg the tents down absolutely fully until we are 100% confident that this is the perfect position, because we move things around by a foot. Like, we shift it a foot this way, shift it a foot that way as things kind of fill in.
Giving yourself some shuffle room is always a little good tip, isn't it?
Exactly.
If you were going to Pennards, which gate would you aim for?
Oh, probably C, I would say. What do you think? Or D? C or D? Like, B is not that. B and C are quite close together, to be honest. They're not the end of the world, and it is downhill from gate B, at least.
I've never been to D. Tilly, you worked a shift on there once.
I did. It's very far away.
Yeah, it is very far away.
So far away that they gave us a lift in a car to get there. So just if you're thinking of D, it is quite a trek.
But that's a good point, because if you are trying to get to Big Ground, don't rock up to Gate D.
No, don't rock up to Gate D.
And even if you're at Gate A, you are crossing quite a lot of the festival to get there. It's a long way, and it doesn't look like a long way on the map. But if you're coming in Gate A, I'd say, okay, Oxley's is probably the furthest you'd want to go. And even then, getting from C to Pennards, it's not a straight route, is it? And I think it'd probably take you, with your gear, another 20 minutes getting through the gate, maybe 30.
Yeah,
depends
definitely.
how much gear you've got, I suppose.
Yeah, it depends how much you're carrying. I think that's, for people who maybe don't know, Gate A is where you come in if you arrive by coach or if you arrive by train and then get the shuttle from the train station. So a large percentage of people will be coming through Gate A, but to my knowledge, Gate A doesn't have parking access unless you have specifically parked on the north, south, east. I'm just like mentally going on the west side of the site. They try and funnel you through Gate D unless you specifically walk away from the mainstream of people and go, no, I specifically want to walk to Gate A. They will, if you park on the west side, they'll put you through Gate D. So
we arrived by coach to Gate A in 24, and they prioritised us getting in over everyone else that was queuing. They literally held the queue back and funneled all the coach traffic into the gate. And so you might find D is just quicker, even if you've got to trek a bit.
Yeah,
I think it's important to note as well that not all of the gates will necessarily let you in if you have a normal wristband, a normal ticket. Because we worked that gate, Bill, didn't we, near Sticklynch, and you could only get in that gate if you had a pass to the campsite.
Yeah, you've got to go.
So we were having to turn away people who've just walked hours and hours with all their bags, and honestly, it broke my heart.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you rock up with a regular ticket, you've got to go to. It's on the map. It says PG A, B, C, or D. Pedestrian gate A, B, C, D. If you try to show up at, say you manage to park with your mates at Worthy View car park, and you've got a regular ticket and you're not in Worthy View, they will send you the long way round. They won't let you walk through Worthy View to get into the festival.
Yeah, and there is no shuttle bus.
It was heartbreaking when we sent those people.
We had to turn people away, and honestly, you could see their faces drop. Yeah, they had children.
They were like, we've just queued for an hour, and we're like, yeah, in the wrong place. Make your peace with it.
Yeah, especially I'm like, I have no power. I am just someone in a high-vis vest. Like, if I could let you through, I probably would, but that I just cannot do that.
Yeah. Oh God, I can't imagine. And them thinking you've got to trek around the outside of the gate. Oh my, sorry, the fence.
I can imagine you see people being funneled into a gate and you just assume, that must be the place to go, but not always.
I think that's the main thing that will happen is that people will catch lifts with their mates that are in these special campsites, Sticklynch, Worthy View, etc., and they'll go, yeah, it's fine, we'll just go in with you, and it's like, no, honey, you can't.
Yeah.
You've got to go in the A, B, C, or D. Yeah.
Where is Party Central? Is that Pennards?
I don't know, I think Pennards used to be it when the southeast corner was the only late night area. But now there's so many other options, Silver Haze is really, stepping up as far as taking some of the crowds away from the southeast corner and just having its own incredible lineup and vibe and situation. And all of the park and all the late night venues in the park and Arcadia, I just basically think if you look at the Glastonbury map if you think of it as a clock, if you want kind of party and easy access to the party, then you're kind of looking at from about 6 p.m. or from about 6 o'clock till about 10 o'clock, I would say, like that kind of southwesterly third. Am I making any sense? Can you picture?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah,
I'm visualizing it.
yeah. I think that's your best option if you. What I mean is, if you're happy, if you want quick access to late night music, if you don't mind it being loud when you go to sleep, and you've got good enough earplugs to counteract the duff-duffs, and and if that's what you want, then that's a good area. The sort of north, around your kind of 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock areas, is still like quick to access places, I would say. And, you know, I just think it's going to be quieter around the tents. And, you know, it'll be quicker access to maybe the pyramid or like Woodsies or things like that. But so it's slightly further walk from the party areas. But it means when you get back to your tent, you'll be able to sleep.
Yeah, and it's not that bad walking from the southeast corner to the extremes of the campsites.
No.
Because when the main stage's crowds have dispersed, cutting across those areas, it's rapid. So it doesn't feel as bad at 3 a.m. This might sound mad to anyone, but at 3 a.m., you can take those semi-shortcuts then. Because walking around the pyramid crowd, you're walking around 100,000 people.
Yeah, it's a triangle, isn't it? Like late at night when you're coming home, you can do the diagonal. You can cross directly across site, whether that's across the other stage, open field, or the pyramid stage, open field. Whereas any time that those big stages are busy and at max capacity, as you said, Bilal, you've got to go along the straight axis and down the straight axis. You can't cut across.
And there's a couple of things worth calling out, which is in previous years, Romead, people have camped there, which is great views of the pyramid just next to Big Ground. That's not camping according to this year's map. And Oxley's has been cut in half. Now, my theory is this is to make space for Charlie on the Saturday night. But that's a huge chunk of Oxley's that's just gone.
I reckon it was after Avril. As you say, for Charlie, but I reckon after Avril they were like, we need more space here. So that was kind of the, let's cut it back.
Yeah, so if you were planning to go back to what you thought was your regular spot, or your mate said, definitely go here, I think the competition to get a good spot in Oxley's is going to be stronger than ever this year.
I guess the one thing is just say, if you're coming in Gate A, there are a lot of great campsites around there that are all flat, all quite large, tend to have space, from what I've heard, you know, but it is the furthest corner from the southeast corner. But you do have Woodsies really close, you have Silver Haze really close, and you're still easy access to everything. I would basically say if you're coming in Gate A, it really isn't too much of a bother. I think there's lots of campsites around there that would serve you very well. And you know, coming by coach, you're carrying it all in one trip. There's no I've left something in the car to carry that later. If you've got a lot to carry, I don't personally think it's worth traipsing across the site, you know, just for a slightly different campsite. I think the walk, when you don't have anything on you, as in you're just walking around the festival, not carrying all your stuff, the extra 10 minutes walk it's going to take you is probably, you know, worth it, I would say.
Well, that leads on very nicely to my next question, which was, imagine you're arriving Thursday night and you've not had anybody saving you any space. Where are you almost guaranteed to get a space? Is there a couple of sites where you're not really going to fill up? And
I'm sure a lot of people have wondered that. I think I would go somewhere around Gate D and Dairy Ground, anywhere like Park Home, Pennards, Oxley's. I think getting one tent in there on a Thursday, you're going to struggle, unless it's one of those, you know, those teeny tiny nylon coffins that you can get.
A body bag.
Maybe you get one of them in, but...
Or a shower tent. If you can sleep in a shower tent, go for it.
That's all you're getting in. How about you, Jessie? Where do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. My friends, I've had a couple of mates who the last couple of years their tactic has been to get coach Thursday tickets. That's just how they're right, I know I'll get in if I do a Thursday coach ticket. And it worked up until this year. But they have always arrived sometimes late on a Thursday. They're part of our group, but I would say slightly different contingent in that they live in Bristol. So they're happy to camp separately and then meet us out kind of thing. And they've always said to me that the South Parks, one or two, have always been, you know, still spacious on a Sunday. And tend to have nice toilets is what was reported back to me. And as you say, it's an extra 10-minute walk maybe, but you know, it's near Gate D. It's not very stressful. There's loads of space, even on a Thursday. You know, just save yourself some hassle and go there, essentially. I think towards the back of South Park 2, it does start to go up, you know, where the Glastonbury sign is. It's kind of next to that, over a field away. So it does start to have a bit of a slope, but still lots of space.
So nice to know that all is not lost if you are arriving late on Thursday or on Friday.
They've
so
got to fit all the punters in, haven't they, somewhere? Yeah. It's just you're not going to get right in the middle of the action on a Thursday evening, sorry.
The ones I would avoid, but will have space, are probably Lime Kiln and Hitchin Hill. I have seen people pitch tents on there and they must be shuffling every hour because they've slid to the bottom of their tent. It's on like a 30-degree angle.
Yeah, I was going to say it's about 30
I mean,
degree angle.
even the fact that that one has hill in the name kind of gives it away that maybe we're not wanting to be on that one.
Michael's Mead that I suggested has the odd bit which is a little bit steep, but not like that. But if you're really struggling, you'll find space. The other thing, though, if you are struggling, you get there on a Thursday and you're adamant you want to be close to the action, walk into the tents, in between. Once you get... Campsites have that weird thing where when you first look at them, you think, oh, this is packed, and it's like wall-to-wall tents. But once you get like 5 tents into the campsite, and I've experienced this as a steward trying to find people spaces, suddenly it'll open up, or you'll find like a bit of space in between tents, and you might not be right next to your mate, but you might be 1 or 2 tents away. You can manage to do it. So I think it's worth taking a chance closer if you've got small tents.
And start making friends. Just be like, hi, is it all right if I put my tent like on top of yours? And they'll be like, sure.
Yeah, as you're putting the tent pegs in. Is this okay?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I do this?
Tilly, that was absolutely going to be my advice. I was like, if you do that, if you just go and go, oh, look, I'm really sorry, my mates are nearby. Like, it's
Have
just
a free beer.
Yeah, exactly. If you're good vibes, everyone's going to be like, oh, don't you worry, honey, let me move my guy rope for you.
A long way.
Yeah, we can squeeze you in, don't you worry. It's those people who turn up all like, I'm going to put my tent here. You're like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, they're like, can you move your tent? And I'm like, could you have got here earlier?
Yeah. Like, sorry, I got here and set up correctly. Like, yeah. If people are like, oh, if they know, look, I know I'm being cheeky here, but any chance you can move this guy rope because I just really want to squeeze in. You're like, you know what? Fine, go for it, my honey. Kindness, be nice.
I've never had a problem with someone coming up and saying, look, can we squeeze in here?
No, me
because
either.
You're at a campsite. It's a festival with hundreds of thousands of people, and everybody's got to fit in somehow. And you're not just going to be camped with your mates. You are going to be camped with strangers, and that's okay. And actually, I've had a good time with those strangers,
Nice. And then that's it. You make friends. It's always nice that's a small little top tip. It's always good to be mates with your neighbours, because then they know whose tent is who. And if they see someone come sniffing around that isn't you, they can at least report back to you. It's always good to know who's in your immediate neighbour circle, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that community that keeps everyone safe. And you do hear about, the odd tent theft, or I should say, back in the day, apparently people's whole tents were stolen, but now it tends to be people rifling through them. But every campsite has a lockup fairly close. They're free. The people there are lovely. You can give a donation, but you don't have to, and don't feel pressured that you do have to. But it goes to charity anyway. And anything you can't afford to lose, just stick in the campsite lockup.
And they take things of all sizes. Like, you can put your trolley in there. People put their children's pushchair.
I thought you were going to say children.
Just put your children in the lockup. Yeah, see you in 6 hours, mate. No.
First thing I do, my car keys. What can I not afford to lose? I could probably make do without my wallet, because mates can cover you. Can make do without my phone. Fine, show up in lost property, hopefully. But I have to be able to drive home at the end of the night. That's the way I look at it at the end of the festival. So my car keys go in an envelope and I give them to the lockup. And I know I don't have to worry about it until Monday morning. That's the only thing that really plays on my mind.
The fact that it's free and totally secure and you can store anything there is just... And they do have loo roll there usually.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes when you're like, God, I've come out without loo roll, you can go there and pick one up, which is nice.
And sun cream. I once had somebody being like, please put some sun cream on. I was like, thank you.
Yeah. Very much. Basically, the lockups are find out where your lockup is for your campsite, number one, and use it as much as you can. On that, just another thing that people might be thinking about is showers. I get people asking me this all the time. They're like, I hear there's no showers at Glastonbury. And it's kind of like, I would firstly advise, get yourself a camp shower or get yourself a bucket. Genuinely, you will save yourself a lot of time and you'll feel amazing. And it's just worth just soaping yourself up in a bikini at your tent. it's the easiest and quickest and best thing to do. But if you are insistent on that you actually want a shower, there are only, as far as I know, two, actually no, maybe a third I've just thought of. The only kind of showers that are put on by the festival are at the bottom of the kids' field. So another bonus for Big Ground is that it is close to there. You will queue for over an hour. You will probably queue, especially if you go in the morning, you will queue for 2 to 3 hours. Me and my mates, I only did it twice, but lots of my mates got in the habit of coming home from the Southeast Corner at 4 a.m. and then queuing and going for a shower then, which, is genius as far as I'm concerned.
Smart move.
Smart move.
Go to bed clean, wake up refreshed.
Exactly. It's just nice not to get into your sleeping bag when you're sweaty from a rave, isn't it? So
plus you can have a little boogie in the shower if you can hear the
100%. Yes, I love that. The second set of showers are at Greenpeace, and I believe they work on like a ticket system. Like you turn up, you get a ticket, and then they'll let you know when it's your kind of turn. They are they're kind of like open showers, so they're not cubicles. So I think they might have a couple of cubicles, but in general, it's like almost like a unisex kind of locker room. Like you all go in and shower. So people do it nude, but if that's not your vibe, bring a swimming costume and you can do it there. I believe they provide shower gel and soap and things because they don't want you to bring your own because of chemicals. So that's just one thing to note for Greenpeace. And the one I just remembered is there's like the Lost Horizons sauna. Is it called that? Or there's
I was going to say Lost Horizons. They're in. I
think they're at the bottom of the green fields, aren't they? Yeah, around there. So they have them as well, and they kind of the point is that you're going there for a sauna, which again, just to note, it is usually a nude sauna. I mean, you don't have to, but that you will encounter that. So the point is, you go for a sauna and then you can shower on your way out as such.
A mate of mine went to Greenpeace showers and used it as they're getting ready for the evening prep. Not too late. They said it was dead because everyone is in that routine of I want to shower in the morning or in the middle of the day and then have my full day. Just by using it as your kind of night out prep, most people are already off watching gigs and the like. You can just go straight out from there, and I think that's a genius move. I can't remember where the nearest lockup is to Greenpeace. It might be the one at Gate C.
Pennards, I reckon. Or
Pennards,
something like that. Yeah. But that is a hot tip, actually. That's a great idea. So like 6 p.m. or something, pre-headliner, go and have a shower and then drop your stuff and carry on for your evening. I love that.
Or if it's a headliner you're not fussed about, you have the best shower of your life.
Can you imagine what the showers are like during like Elton John or something?
This is where we find out the shower's shut at 6 p.m. and there's a line of Festival Sounds listeners cursing our name, just there in their robes and like, oh, where are you?
We might have to confirm this on socials, I guess. But I'll find out the confirmation. I know that the ones by the bottom of the kids' fields open at 6. So when I say my mates used to go, we used to leave at like 4:30, go home, get our stuff, and then we'd get like a bacon sandwich at like 5:30 from the one place that was open, and then be in the shower queue for 6.
Oh, that sentence there just got me thinking. I'm back there, just imagining what it's like. It's so close.
Imagine like really drunk, just like having a coffee and a bacon sandwich, and then just standing there holding a towel, like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to wash myself.
It's funny the times of day you have a coffee when you're at a festival. You'll literally have a coffee and then go straight to bed, but you're like, it was needed.
I needed a coffee just to get through the shower.
And then I was going to bed.
Tilly hasn't mentioned much of her life at the Oxfam campsite.
Well, I was going to ask her about that.
But it's mostly iced lattes and showers every day.
Yeah, and pizzas, like literal
late night pizzas.
Oh, honestly, I cannot big up how amazing it is.
In the campsite, what time did it shut? Something like 3 a.m.?
Well, that was my question. I was going to say, is there food in the campsite all night at Oxfam? Because I'm going to make use of that.
So they had the main catering place that obviously has its kind of normal opening hours. Amazing food. You could get a full English breakfast. You could get like chili.
I've heard that there was a roast on a Sunday. Was that right?
Yeah, roast on Sunday. Hello. And they do like I think they did like a welcome curry, and they like encouraged people to like bring their own ingredients and like chuck in. It was so good.
Amazing.
Anyway, but they also have like a little food truck that caters for outside of those hours where you get snacks and stuff. So
wicked. Because I'm looking forward to my first Oxfam campsite endeavour this year. So I'm taking my camper van. Tilly, can you tell me any more about it? What else do I need to know? What about the shower vouchers and stuff?
Shower vouchers, so you get 3 shower tokens for your time there. But if you're really nice to your neighbours, they might possibly give you their shower tokens as well. Especially, there are some people obviously who bring their own solar showers and things, and they're like, oh, I'm not going to use the shower tokens. Or you get your X-ray vision on, and when you're walking around the campsite, if you see a shower token on the floor, pick that up.
Because those people with a camper van will still be given a shower token, and they've got a camper van with a shower built in, so they just give them to their mates.
To be absolutely clear, my camper van does not have a shower. It's very old school.
Oxfam showers are good.
Yeah,
they are really nice. Super clean. Like, there's somebody whose job is to kind of mop them out after every use. So they're like super clean. Really, or just it's a great. You might have to queue a little bit, but not to the extent that it sounds like you have to queue in the main site.
Yeah, I'm excited for Oxfam, but obviously I won't lament too much, but the last couple of years I've been in Greenpeace crew with my camper van, which had an electric hookup. So I've managed to get a camper van space with Oxfam, which is amazing, but I will not have an electric hookup. So I bought a second leisure battery. So I've got extra. It still won't last the whole time I'm there, I'm sure, but my normal leisure battery barely lasts like 2 days. So that'll give me a little bit of an extra boost. And I was used to having a shower every day, which I know is just the most Princess Glastonbury thing to say ever.
Thank you so much, Jessi. This has honestly been enlightening for me, seeing as I've actually never camped anywhere other than the Oxfam field. So I feel like I could go into it knowing where to camp now. So thank you.
Amazing. Have you picked one campsite that you're like, this is the one after this?
Well, I feel like with all the hype, Penards just sounds amazing. So I would aim for that.
I knew you'd be a Penards girl. I could tell after all this chat. There's me trying to put you off, like, it's not worth it. And you're like, no, that's where I'm going.
It is worth it. But if I was going to be there on the Thursday, I also wouldn't feel sad about being further away, because as long as you're there, it's the happiest place on earth. So
yeah, it doesn't matter too much how far away you are. Like, an extra couple of minutes walk is not going to be the end of the world. Lovely to speak to you both. Honestly, every time I speak to you, I almost want to be like permanent third member of Festival Sounds. Just saying, if there's ever an opening, I'm in.
We would love to. We would love to.
I love these chats. Brilliant.
You're definitely, I think, the person I know with the most Glastonbury knowledge, like, ever. I think genuinely probably the most knowledgeable Glastonbury person I know.
Come now. I mean, like, Torts exists for starters, and I reckon Bilal, you're up there as well. You know, almost as well. You maybe don't have quite as many years, but you have the knowledge.
I get my steps in there. I do a bit of exploring, that's for sure.
You do a lot of getting lost, so.
Is it getting lost or is it exploring? That's the thing.
You just never know, do you?
People have to find me. So I think it's getting lost.
I can just imagine the phone calls of you like, I can see a big clown's head and some trees.
Literally once I'm in a tunnel under the railway line. And I don't know how I got here.
Probably through Greenpeace. There's a tunnel under Greenpeace.
See, Jessi knows.
See, she's the woman with the knowledge.